Hey artists, today we're going to make these beautiful winter scenes. So follow along with me and I'll show you all the steps for creating your own. All right, so with my pencil at the bottom, about maybe 1/3 of my paper, I'm going to draw just kind of a slightly curved line to show where the snow is on the ground. And then everything up here is going to be our moonlit sky. And we are focusing on using different tints of blue. So we start by dipping our paintbrush in the white, and you could have it in the center, you could have it kind of off center. You're gonna put your moon, which you can't really see because it's just white. But the next thing I'm going to do is put a ring of white around that moon, and I'm going to just barely dip into my blue, and I'm creating a very light tint of blue. Barely has any blue in there. It's a very light tint. And then I'm going to do that again, only this time I'm going to add a little tiny drop more of blue. And what that's going to do is make a slightly darker tint. So I can really spread that out with my brush. If it seems too dark, I can always add more white back in there. But it's like slowly but surely, it's getting a little bit darker than it was on the first circle. So we have white, then we have a light tint of blue, and then another light tint. I might even lighten it up just a little bit with some extra white. Perfect. Now I'm going to dip in my white again, and I'm going to make another tint. So you can see I'm just kind of taking a little bit of blue into the white right on my paper, and I'm mixing it right on my paper to make a slightly darker tint. And we're just gonna go around the last one. And this is right here why I have the messy mat underneath, because this does get messy as we're adding that color in. Oh yeah, look at that, nice, getting darker. We're making a darker tint with the blue, and I think it's turning out really nice. And you can see how these layers are building on each other. I love that. You can really see those different shades, or the different tints. So we went from white to a very light blue, then a little bit darker, and now this next one, I'm gonna put some white, but I'm gonna use mostly my blue paint. So I'm really gonna darken this one up. And I'm trying to stay above that line where we drew our snowy ground. Adding more blue in to make it a nice darker tint of blue. And then we go back and forth to really smooth it out. I'm loving the way that's looking. I'm gonna get a little bit up here and then lots of blue to make it much darker. And don't be afraid to go right off your page because you've got a messy mat underneath. All right, and now this leftover area, I'm not gonna use any white at all. In fact, I'm gonna kind of wipe my brush off a little bit to get off that extra white. I'm gonna dip straight into the blue, and I have this nice dark nighttime sky color right there. And we're just gonna spread that onto the rest of our page. Still trying to use that curved brushwork to keep the look of the circle we're doing. So I'm painting right along that line carefully And then I'm going to fill this in with the blue. That looks awesome. And I want to get over here as well. All right, this is ready to go on the drying rack, and when it's dry, we can start adding some other details. Okay, now that we have our beautiful moonlit sky with the different tints of blue all nice and dry, we can start working on the subject of our picture. And so we're gonna have a little scene down here in the snow. Now looking at some different silhouettes, we're just going to see the shadowy outline of the things in our picture because the moonlight is casting a big shadow down on the snow. So we might have some trees, some houses, some animals, maybe some kids playing or sledding in the snow. So we're gonna decide what we wanna put in our snow scene, and we're gonna paint that with black. So I'm gonna take my brush, and maybe right here, I know that I accidentally got some little speckles of blue down here, so I can use those and just kind of cover it up. So maybe right here, I'm gonna put a big tree. And so I can look at this picture over here as a guide. And I'm using black to make a real shadowy tree. So it won't have all the details, it'll just be the outline of the tree. And I'm not going to put any leaves on this tree because it's winter. Now, if I'm doing the tree big like this, that means it's up close. And if I want to have some trees out here in the distance far away, I'm going to make those smaller. Like maybe I'll put a little pine tree right here. And this one's going to look small because it's going to be far away. There's my little pine tree that's far away in the distance. And maybe I'll do another one, maybe even smaller. I could put a little house up there. Maybe it's a really little tiny house far away. And I remember it's just the shadow of the house, so I'm not going to see a lot of detail. After we do our silhouettes, like whatever our little winter scene is with the black, we're going to go in and add snow with white paint. So if I leave a space for the windows here, I can go back and add some white paint to that. All right, there's my little house. I have some trees. Maybe down here, I'll have some kids playing in the snow, or maybe an animal. I got lots of animals here to choose from. Maybe I'll put a little bird in my tree here. So I would just put the little bird, put his little nose, his legs. There's my little bird in the tree. And maybe down here I'll have a little fox playing in the snow. I would just look at my picture for like my reference. I can put the little face, little ears. It's fun to do a silhouette because you don't have to worry about any of the details. It's just the outline. And then I can have little footprints. There's his little footprints in the snow. And who else might be out here? Maybe there's a kid playing down here too. So I'll do a little hat, a little winter hat, and the neck, and some arms up because we're playing and having so much fun in the snow. I put little hands here. And we got one leg kicked out, kick in the snow. So much fun. And then maybe I have little footsteps coming from this person too. Where they walked across the snow. And you could be done there, or if you wanted to, you could add some more trees. You could add some more animals. It's really up to you what you want to put in your little snow scene. Maybe I'll put a little tiny mouse up here. That might be fun. Just a little mousy guy. All right, that's looking pretty fun to me. Maybe there's some little mouse footsteps here. I do have one more little smear of paint that I had. So what could I turn that into? Maybe I'll have a smaller tree right here that's far away. So it's really tiny. I need to get a little more paint. And so you're just taking your black and deciding what would you like in your snow scene. And you're going to be drawing these black shadow silhouettes. Just the outline without the detail. All right. I'm thinking that I am very satisfied with this, so I'm ready to go ahead and add the snow. All right. I got my white paint for the snow. But I thought of one more thing I'd like to add that I saw on somebody else's that I thought looked really neat. And that's where they took their black paint and way up here they drew some little birds just flying off in the distance. And I thought, well, that looks so cool across the moon, having these birds flying. And it's just kind of like a little M shape. Just like two curved lines showing those birds. And there's their little body. So I've got some birds flying off in the distance, and I thought that was a great way to finish my winter scene. Now we're going to take our little teeny tiny brush, and we are going to dip into the white paint. And very carefully, we are just going to dot our sky with snow. And I'm making sure that I don't smash my brush down. And I'm going to go ahead and put the snow over my moon area first, because I know that my black paint is still drying down here and I don't want to get gray on my brush. So just take your time, go along and all over, add those little drops of snow. And then once you have those up here, you can go ahead and add snow to the bottom part of your picture as well. on the tree and the black parts of your picture. But right now, I'm just gonna add snow to the top. It's really starting to look awesome. All right, I got that snow everywhere. If you wanted to add a little snow just kind of sitting on top of the trees where it's kind of gathered, you could do that. Just a little bit of snow sitting on things. This looks really nice. Some little snow kind of hanging out. Okay. And then you can also go back and if you want to make your windows white on any houses or buildings, you could do that. Maybe I'll add another window. And then you can just kind of add a couple little drops of snow in front of your silhouettes to show that it's snowing right in front of them. And then once you're done with your snow, you are finished with this beautiful winter scene that shows many different tints of blue that you created on your own, which is pretty exciting. So just adding a little bit of snow in front of the tree to show that it's all connected. Everything's getting snowed on in our scene. And I think we are finished with this beautiful picture. I can't wait to see the beautiful winter scene that you create.